Hun Sen is the 34th and current Prime Minister of Cambodia, President of the Cambodian People's Party, and Member of Parliament for Kandal. He has served as Cambodia's Premier for more than 25 years, making him the longest-serving head of government of Cambodia, Asia's longest-serving autocrat and one of the longest-serving leaders in the world. From 1979 to 1986 and again from 1987 to 1990, Hun Sen served as Cambodia's foreign minister. His full honorary title is Samdech Akeak Moha Sena Padey Techo Hun Sen. Born Humbunal, he changed his name to Hun Sen in 1972, 2 years after joining the Khmer Rouge. Hun Sen rose to the premiership in January 1985 when the KPRP-dominated National Assembly appointed him to succeed Chansai, who had died in office in December 1984. The position would be held by Hun Sen until the 1993 elections, when he lost an election bid, refusing to relinquish power, and after negotiations with the Phuncan Peace Party, Hun Sen jointly served as Prime Minister with Norodom Ranariddh until a 1997 coup. Ung Huo was then selected to succeed Ranariddh. In 1998, he would lead the CPP to victory in the elections but had to form a coalition government with FUNCINPEC. Hun Sen has since been elected consecutively and is currently serving in his 5th prime ministerial term and vows to rule until he is 74. Hun Sen was 7,102,384,000,000 spade suit 32 years, 162 days old when he became Prime Minister, making him at the time the world's youngest head of government. One of the world's longest-serving leaders, with a reputation as a wily operator who destroys his political opponents. Hun Sen is widely viewed as a dictator who has assumed authoritarian power in Cambodia using violence, intimidation and corruption to maintain his power base. Hun Sen has accumulated highly centralized power in Cambodia, including a Praetorian Guard that appears to rival the capabilities of the country's regular military units. The former Khmer Rouge commander has consolidated his grip on power through a web of patronage and brute military strength. Early life. Hun Sen was born in Kampong Cham, and was the third of 6 children in a peasant family. His father, Hun Niang, was a resident in Mungkin, a local wat in Kampong Cham province, before defrocking himself to join the French resistance and married Hun Sen's mother, Di Yom, in the 1940s. Hun Niang's paternal grandparents were wealthy landowners of Teochew Chinese heritage. Hun Niang inherited some of his family assets and led a relatively comfortable life, as they owned several hectares of land until a kidnapping incident forced the family to sell off much of their assets. Hun Sen left his family at the age of 13 to attend a monastic school in Phnom Penh. When Lon Nol usurped power from Sena in 1970 during a bloodless coup, Hun Nal gave up his education to join the Khmer Rouge. 2 years later, Hun Nal changed his name to Hun Sen. In 1974, Hun Sen met his future wife Bun Rani. He was wounded his left eye in battle and had it later removed in 1975, on the day before the Khmer Rouge captured Phnom Penh. The following year, Hun Sen married Bun Rani. Political career and premiership. Hun Sen came to power with the Khmer Rouge and served as a battalion commander in the eastern region of Democratic Kampuchea. In 1977, during internal purges of the Khmer Rouge regime, Hun Sen and his battalion cadres fled to Vietnam. Hun Sen became one of the leaders of the rebel army and government that the Vietnamese government sponsored when they prepared to invade Cambodia. When the Khmer Rouge regime regime was overthrown. Hun Sen was appointed Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of the Vietnamese-installed People's Republic of Kampuchea, State of Cambodia in 1979. As the de facto leader of Cambodia, in 1985, he was elected as chairman of the Council of Ministers and Prime Minister after the death of Chan Sai. As Foreign Minister and then Prime Minister, Hun Sen played a pivotal role in the 1991 Paris peace talks, which brokered peace in Cambodia. During this period, Prince Norodom Sihanouk referred to him as a one-eyed lackey of the Vietnamese. In 1987, Amnesty International accused Hun Sen's government of torture of thousands of political prisoners using electric shocks, hot irons and near suffocation with plastic bags. In a very bold move after the UN-monitored elections, he refused to step down from the post and negotiated a transitional government agreement that allowed him to remain as co-prime minister, but he retained the chairmanship of the CPP. From 1993 until 1998 he was co-prime minister with Prince Norodom Ranariddh. In 1997, the coalition was shaken by tensions between Ranariddh and Hun Sen. FUNCINPEC began to discuss with the remaining Khmer Rouge rebels, with the aim of absorbing them into its ranks. Such a rallying would have rebalanced the military power between royalists and CPP. In response, Hun Sen launched the 1997 Cambodian coup, replacing Ranariddh with Ung Haut as the first prime minister and maintaining his position as the second prime minister, a situation which lasted until the CPP's victory in the 1998 election, after which he became the country's sole prime minister. During that year, the media broadcast him as the strongman of Cambodia, which he later said was premature, and that their July 1997 coup was merely the government taking action against the paramilitary anarchy that was sponsored and brought to Phnom Penh by Norodom Ranariddh. In an open letter, Amnesty International condemned the summary execution of FUNCINPEC ministers and the systematic campaign of arrests and harassment of political opponents. On 6 May 2013, Hun Sen declared his intention to rule Cambodia until he is 74. The controversial and widely disputed elections of July 2003 resulted in a larger majority in the National Assembly for the CPP, with FUNCINPEC losing seats to the CPP and the Sam Rainsy Party. However, CPP's majority was short of the two-thirds constitutionally required for the CPP to form a government alone. This deadlock was overcome and a new CPP-FUNCINPEC coalition was formed in mid-2004. When Norodom Ranariddh was chosen to be head of the National Assembly and Hun Sen became again sole Prime Minister of Cambodia. In August 2013, Hun Sen announced he would continue with his aim to form a new government, even if the main opposition tried to block the process. The news came after both sides claimed victory in the 2013 general elections. Also in August, in New York, a major but largely unnoticed demonstration held in front of the United Nations on the 19th of August by Cambodians and Buddhist monks was a crucial prelude to planned mass demonstrations in Phnom Penh later in September 2013 by opposition groups protesting the July elections and Hun Sen's response. Cambodians in the United States, Canada and elsewhere, joining hundreds of Buddhist monks to peacefully protest in front of the United Nations in New York City in opposition to Hun Sen's deployment of tanks and military and security
forces in Phnom Penh and what they believed was his unwillingness to share political power with opposition groups and seriously address earlier voting fraud and election irregularities from the July 2013 election. After the 2013 election results, disputed by Hun Sen's opposition, one person was killed and others injured during protests in Cambodia's capital, where a reported 20,000 protesters gathered, some clashing with riot police. Following the opposition's 2 weeks in a row protests, in response, Hun Sen declares he will not step down from his position, nor will there be a re-election, further adding he was elected constitutionally. On the 7th of September 2013, tens of thousands of Cambodians, along with Buddhist monks and opposition groups, including Sam Rains's Cambodian National Rescue Party, held peaceful mass demonstrations in Phnom Penh to protest the 28th of July elections results, which they claimed were flawed and marred by voting irregularities and potential fraud. The groups asked the United Nations to investigate and claimed that the elections' results were not free and fair. On the 3rd of January 2014, military police opened fire at protesters, killing 4 people and injuring more than 20. The United Nations and U.S. State Department have condemned the violence. U.S. Congressman Ed Royce responded to the report of violence in Cambodia by calling for Hun Sen to step down and said the Cambodian people deserve a better leader. On the 10th of June 2014, Hun Sen made a public appearance and claimed he has no health problems. He warned that if he were to die prematurely, the country would spin out of control and the opposition could expect trouble from the armed forces, saying he is the only person who can control the army. Corruption and political violence. Some political opponents of Hun Sen accuse him of being a Vietnamese puppet. This is due to his position in the government created by Vietnam while Cambodia was under Vietnamese military occupation and the fact that he was a prominent figure in the People's Revolutionary Party of Kampuchea, which governed Cambodia as a one-party state under Vietnamese military occupation from 1979 until elections in 1993. Hun Sen and his supporters reject such charges, saying that he represented only the Cambodian people. Hun Sen's government has been responsible for the sale of 45% of the total land mass in Cambodia, primarily to foreign investors, in the years 2007-08, threatening more than 150,000 Cambodians with eviction. Parts of the concessions are wildlife protections and national parks even, and the land sales has been perceived by observers to be the result of government corruption. Already thousands of citizens had fallen victims of forced evictions. Hun Sen was implicated in corruption related to Cambodia's oil wealth and mineral resources in the Global Witness 2009 report on Cambodia. He and his close associates were accused of carrying out secret negotiations with interested private parties, taking money from those who would be granted rights to exploit the country's resources in return. The credibility of this accusation has been questioned by government officials and especially Prime Minister Hun Sen himself. Mr. Hun Sen's Cambodian People's Party has placed bans on public gatherings, driven opposition supporters from the site of former protest meetings, Freedom Park, and deployed riot police to beat protesters and detain union leaders. Control of media. Hun Sen and his political party, CPP, have held near total dominance over the mainstream media for the majority of the rule. Bayan Television is owned and operated by Hun Mana Hun Sen's eldest daughter. Apsara TV is joint-owned by Say Sam Al, CPP Minister of Environment and son of Say Chum, CPP Secretary and the son of CPP Deputy Prime Minister Sok An. CTN, CN CNMY-TV are all owned by Khmer Chinese tycoon Ngọc Kith Meng, one of the state's Ogna. Ogna is a title granted by the Prime Minister of the royal family to high-profile businessmen and signifies a very close friendship. Ogna are regularly summoned by the Prime Minister to provide funding for various projects. CPP officials claim that there is no connection between the TV stations and the state, despite the obvious prevalence of nepotism. However, CPP lawmaker and official spokesman Chim Yeep once stated, "We pay for the television by buying broadcasting hours to show our achievements," indicating that those TV stations are pro-CPP because they have been paid for by the state for what is effectively advertising. A demand for television and radio licenses was one of 10 opposition requests adopted by the Cambodian National Rescue Party at its People's Congress in October 2013. Personal life. Hun Sen is married to Bun Rani. They have 6 children: Kamso, Mane, Mana, Manith Mani, and Mali. Hun Mane is a 1999 West Point Academy graduate and obtained his PhD in economics at the University of Bristol. In 2010, Mane was promoted Major General in the Royal Cambodian Armed Forces and became the Deputy Commander of the Prime Minister's Bodyguard headquarters. All 3 of Hun Sen's sons play big roles in his regime. His older brother, Hun Neng, is a former governor of Kampong Cham and currently a member of parliament. Although Hun Sen's official birthday is the 4th of April 1951, his true birth date is revealed to be on the 5th of August 1952. Hun Sen is fluent in Vietnamese, in addition to his native Khmer. His fluency in Vietnamese has made him a target of criticism among anti-Vietnamese detractors. Hun Sen also speaks some English and began learning the language from the 1990s, but usually converses in Khmer through interpreters when giving formal interviews to the English-speaking press.